Before we begin, please press the like button and the subscribe button. All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a genuinely chilling reality in modern cybersecurity. We spend so much time and so much energy worrying about those shadowy figures trying to break through our digital walls. But honestly, we are completely missing a massive shift. The absolute most devastating attacks happen when the intruders are already inside.
If you're a fan of classic horror movies, you absolutely know this trope. There's always that pivotal scene, right? The protagonist is hiding, absolutely terrified of the monster outside. And then the police trace the phone lines and deliver that iconic, terrifying line, "The call is coming from inside the house." It literally changes everything. The stakes instantly shoot up. That realization that the threat is way closer than anyone thought, it completely shatters the illusion of safety. Well, guess what? So many businesses today are experiencing this exact same horrifying realization when it comes to their computer networks. Because the crazy reality is, your trusted tools have literally turned against you. Companies are spending vast fortunes, unbelievable amounts of money on firewalls, antivirus software, and these huge, complex threat detection platforms. But these super expensive defenses, they are completely missing modern attacks. Why? Well, because the attacker isn't breaking down the front door with some shiny new external weapon. They're just using the environment that already exists inside the company. The threat is way harder to spot, it's far more damaging, and essentially, the call is coming from inside the house. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, inside the house, and when normal isn't normal. This brings us to a really crucial concept in the cybersecurity world. It's called living off the land. Basically, this is a cyber attack technique where hackers leverage the built-in system tools and legitimate applications that are already sitting right there on a computer to carry out their attacks. Think about it like a burglar. A normal burglar might smash a window, right? Not this guy. This burglar finds your spare key under the mat, unlocks the front door, walks right in, and then literally puts on your clothes while they walk around inside your house. They're just using what's already there. So what exactly are they using? Everyday tools are being weaponized. Attackers are repurposing incredibly common pre-installed utilities, things like PowerShell, remote desktop applications, and just standard administrative scripts. And here's the kicker. Because these tools inherently have deep system-level privileges, they create massive threat detection gaps. Attackers are literally taking the exact tools your IT teams uses every single day to keep the lights on and turning them into weapons. The core problem really hits home when you contrast the two. Traditional malware is kind of like a loud, obnoxious intruder. It relies on unknown, suspicious files that immediately trip the alarms. Your antivirus sees a file it doesn't recognize, and boom, it blocks it. But living off the land, that relies entirely on routine, trusted applications. Because the tools being abused are fully legitimate and came pre-installed on the machine, traditional defenses just don't see anything wrong. On the surface, everything looks totally routine. So the alarms? They stay completely silent. And this silent infiltration is largely powered by one thing: credential theft. Because once a hacker steals valid login information, they can seamlessly blend in. A valid login equals blending in. Armed with those stolen credentials, attackers can execute what we call lateral movement across your enterprise networks. Basically, they can easily hop from one machine to another, and no one bats an eye. Because they're using a legitimate user's identity to run legitimate software, their activity mimics normal day-to-day operations perfectly. Standard monitoring simply cannot tell the difference between Brenda from accounting doing her job and a hacker mapping out your entire network. Which brings us to Section 2, the blind spot, and why traditional defenses fail. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we got here. Looking at the evolution of threats, traditional cybersecurity was built to stop malware. In the past, attackers would just drop malicious executables onto your systems. So a shift happened. Defenders got smart. We built signature-based tools to scan for those known threats, flag them, and quarantine them. And honestly, it worked beautifully. But attackers aren't stupid. They noticed that defenders got really good at blocking that approach. So, jump to the present day, and they've adapted. They just stopped dropping malware altogether and shifted to using valid credentials and approved tools instead. They literally changed the whole game. This adaptation directly led to the rise of EDR evasion. Now, while signature-based, perimeter-focused security is awesome at catching known bad files, attackers have learned exactly how endpoint detection and response, or EDR, systems work. EDR evasion is all about the techniques they use to intentionally fly just under the radar of these detection thresholds. By strictly sticking to approved tools and valid credentials, they are effectively weaponizing your own trust against you. It creates these intentional blind spots, which allows the threat to just hang out in the network far longer and cause so much more damage. The whole reason EDR evasion actually works comes down to missing context. Traditional tools are designed to look at what a file is, not necessarily how it's being used. If you have no visibility into actual user behavior and a lack of broader system context, you are effectively flying blind. The warning signs of a living off the land attack are incredibly subtle. Without that behavioral context to say, hey, it's weird that this admin script is running at 3 a.m., even the absolute best, most expensive security tools on the market are going to miss the signs of a devastating internal compromise. Moving right along to Section 3, the paradigm shift and stopping the invisible threat. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the clear 3-step roadmap it gives us to actually close this security gap. Since we absolutely cannot rely on just spotting bad files anymore, step 1 is implementing behavioral monitoring. We have to actually watch what the accounts are doing, not just what files they're downloading. Step 2, we need to enforce strong credential management to make it way harder for attackers to steal those valid logins in the first place. And step 3, this is perhaps the most crucial one. We must adopt a security posture that assumes a breach is already underway. You have to operate under the assumption that the call is already coming from inside the house. A really key mechanism for surviving in that assumed breach environment is implementing least privilege policies. Basically, this is a security strategy that strictly limits user access to only the specific permissions they absolutely need to do their jobs, and nothing more. If an attacker manages to compromise an account, this policy severely restricts their lateral movement. Think about it. If the stolen account literally doesn't have the digital keys to the sensitive data vault, the attacker's opportunities for exploitation are drastically reduced. You're essentially containing the blast radius. Ultimately, what you should take away from this explainer is that staying ahead of these incredibly stealthy threats requires a total shift in mindset. The old mindset was entirely focused on the perimeter, right? Blocking threats from the outside, building higher walls, digging deeper moats. But the new mindset recognizes that the walls have doors, and the attackers, they've already stolen the keys. Security today is all about understanding exactly what is happening inside the environment at all times. Constant, vigilant, internal awareness. That is your new best defense. Which leaves us with one final, very provocative question to consider about your own security posture. Do you truly know who is using your network right now? Is it your trusted IT administrator just running a routine script? Or is it an invisible attacker living off the land, quietly operating just below your radar? The threat is closer than you think. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.